Hello, welcome to Loremaster's Lair. I'm your Loremaster, here today for the beginning of a 4-part series of videos. Range of the Elements comes out in a few months, where we will not only be given 2 more elemental planes to examine, but we will also be given more information on the planes we already have. Therefore, let's take the time to look at the 4 elements, both the planes but also a little bit towards the people, to get it all out in the open before the new book comes out. And we're better to start than the plane of air. The plane of air is the one which sits the closest to the material plane. Also known as the filament, one can easily mistake traveling into the plane as simply ascending into the air, just thinking the plane is a part of the planet's atmosphere. The plane is filled with many small islands, made of ice, of stone, of metal, and the like. There are also orbs of fire which shed light across the plane, leaving most of it in eternal day. Now, we'll be looking at the inhabitants of these planes in these videos. So let's set up the typical order we will be using. Looking towards the inhabitants of the plane of air, first we have elementals. Air and lightning elementals can be seen dancing across endless skies, while ice elementals also commonly come for a visit, claiming ice spears as their own. Invisible stalkers are special, being the elite who serve the Jinn of the plane as scouts and, when needed, assassins. Then we have Miflets, the common little Miflets, which in the plane of air come in 3 flavors: air, dust, and ice. Some of these creatures work as messengers for other creatures in the plane, mostly Jinns, while others work independently to control territory. For dragons, we do not only have the native cloud dragons, but also a decent amount of white and silver dragons. And the rulers of the realm, the Jinnikin, are Jinn. All Jinnikin love trade, but Jinn especially love the trade of information, and arts and culture, but mostly knowledge. They overall are more peaceful than energy, but they are quick to remind anyone who tries to cross them that they have ruled their plane from the dawn of existence, and they are not to be trifled with. That said, there are a few non-native appearances which we will be looking at today. So let's talk about one of today's first side tangents, the part of the show where everyone has a role to play. Today's players, the Thria. I'm probably not pronouncing this right, but it's spelled Thriae. These are humanoid bee creatures, appearing mostly human from the waist up, but from the waist down, you're going to want to keep your distance. Thria are a fully female ancestry who, like bees, are divided into roles which work to support the hive. There are the common soldiers who do cheap labor and fight. Above them are dancers who provide the colony entertainment. Above them are seers who are gifted with the powers of divination. Above them, constructors who are in charge of building and expanding the hive. And at the very top is, of course, the queen. And finally, one topic which we will be talking about for each of these videos, Jinnikin. This time it is sylphs. Sylphs, for the most part, take the appearance of their mortal half. Under most situations, the only marking of their ancestry being thin blue lines upon their skin. Sylphs tend to be insular, but they get to know others in their own way. Referred to as listening on the wind, sylphs tend to stand back and get information on others long before meeting them. This is part of their Jinn bloodline's influence, the desire for knowledge, and it's considered by most mortals, well, kind of rude. The most common place sylphs are found is in the shackles around the Eye of Abednego in the terror uplands where sky dragons frequent, in the mists of Ustalov or the sandstorms of Katapesh. There is also strong electrical affinity around the lightning stones in between Nex and Katapesh. For dwarves tend to appear more in their southern cousin, the cloud dragon-connected Mbake and Pirulu, and the desert-living Pomet. Sylph elves find themselves right at home and fit anywhere, so you can see them across the entire elf spectrum. Sylph gnomes have muted colors, but ironically are more resilient to the bleaching due to being twice as curious. Sylph halflings tend to have a few more feathers where hair would normally be, and are famed around the streets of Corinth. Sylph goblins are known for jumping off high places and becoming famous if they survive. As for variants, we have storm souls, who are connected more towards areas plagued by tornadoes than by being where they are born more naturally. Smoke souls are connected to smoke and are known for walking in the shadows. Finally, fume souls are associated with air which cannot be safely breathed, and are known for having, well, toxic personalities. Next up, each plane has two demigods associated with it. One good who was imprisoned long ago and may or may not be freed now, and one evil who was left behind to rule. For today we have Hashora, the Duchess of all winds, Lord of air, last breaths, and windstorms. She is associated with invisible stalkers and therefore has an unknown appearance, but she enjoys building monuments to herself out of dust and ice and destroying things on a whim. A good counterpart is Ranginoi, Duke of Thunder, Lord of air, thunderstorms, and welcoming breezes. He is a lion-headed serpent woven from clouds. He has hundreds of clawed feet and has electricity dancing across his form. Being a large, empty sky, there are of course issues with traveling across the plane of air. That said, there are easy solutions. First, there are airships, though most belong to Jin and are rented out at a high price. There are creatures with wings which can be used as mounts, but they tend to be choosy about who they let ride them. Sky streams are rivers of wind which can take you where you need to go, but you still need something to ride on them with. Magic is probably your safest bet, flight or teleport, but these tend to be high-level spells working to gatekeep travel. Only those who can afford to use them can get wherever they want to go. Though, that said, whichever way you do end up traveling, you'll definitely enjoy the trip. Though you may want to pack for the trip, and one thing you should bring along is Side Tangent 2, the Vernal Key. Hello, I'm the Laughing Salesman, here with another artifact. Glad to see you all once again. The Vernal Key is an artifact of the plane of air, and only works in the plane of air. Considering many of the liberal land is made of ice, and considering the high altitude, it can be pretty cold for those traveling a plane, which, middle of summer, that would actually be kind of nice. The Vernal Key is a one-of-a-kind fix, protecting the wielder from frozen temperatures. Though again, only on the plane of air. Where it comes from and its history are unfortunately lost, but at least I was able to give you the hot tips on the must-have items for a cold trip. Now, a quick tour through the plane. First, landmarks. One of the first things one will recognize in the plane are spheres of fire which act as suns. Some believe they are actually forward bases for the Afrits to invade, but in all this time it has not happened yet, so we should be safe. Right? There are also metallic spears. Well, one can build on the spears of ice or stone, attempt to build on those of bronze or iron will lead the Jin to cut you off, literally. The reason why is unknown, but some suggest there were once enemies of the Jin which they imprisoned for eternity, but to know no more we'll have to wait, maybe only till August. One thing which cannot be seen are dead air pockets, places where those who get stuck will be unable to breathe or navigate. Also, some of these are regular routes to travel, so caution is always needed when traveling the skies. Finally, the Sea of Night's embrace is a place forever in twilight, no matter how much light the fire orbs put off. Go in too deep, and you will find creatures not unlike those which reside in our deepest oceans, and just as hungry. And for population centers and other places swarming with people, first we have the caves of Zerenatavili, an unusually large mass of ground where groups of Thea live. Citadel Cardacreel is held by a silver dragon to defend against legions of white, said to contain a legendary treasure. Likewise, Greslik's represent fastness was built as a wizard tower and now stands guarded forever by cloud giants. A truly dangerous locale, the Storm of Fangs is the size of Galarian's moon and is home to the former right hand of Hasura. And Hasura herself lives in the invisible palace known as the Verglas Processional. Two places you want to avoid unless you have a lot of gifts. For likely safer harbors, I'd recommend places like the Ice Mephlit's sparkling principality of Hartancia, or the Sky Pirate Lair of Port Eclipse. Or you can risk danger and enter the ruins of Nabrinde, a locale which appears to be two temples crashed together and which is swarming with gargoyles. Speaking of gargoyles, that sounds like an excellent topic for Side Tangent 3. Gargoyles are creatures which, when not moving, almost resemble stone statues. Their specific appearances shift over time to fit in with the environment around them, but generally the overall design can be described as demon-like. Gargoyles can live anywhere with a sky and a perch, and are known for collecting items from their prey, similar to serial killers. Like many monsters, a demon lord is said to be lord rule of them, this one being Zeveron. But there is also a psychopomp usher who takes the form of a gargoyle, Vabalrev, the steeple's skull. So, despite some of the things they can do, many also lean neutrally. And back to the plane of air. The largest city, the capital of the Jin Empire, is Ahmad Kalish, ruled by Sultan Zafar the 38th. Took a while to work out Roman numerals in my head. 38th. The city is set across 7 isles, which the Sultan can change at will, but he usually keeps them in the same configuration. The lower city is where visitors enter and where most outsiders spend a majority of their time. Above it is the Cyan Keep, the military district, complete with barracks, combat schools, and even a temple to a warrior which teaches martial arts. The Silver Sky Markets are the main markets of the city, and also home to a hidden temple to Norgaba. The Luminous Court is filled with both picturesque landscape as well as museums, libraries, and temples. Truly a center of culture. The Siracine Ward is also filled with parks, but also host the estates of the city's royalty. Godwood is the region dedicated to various temples to the deities of air. The most splendid, of course, being Gosra's House of Infinite Strata. And at the very top, the High Palaces, where the Sultan, his family, and the members of his court live. Now, to end it off, let's return to Material Plane for a final side tangent, to see where the elements of air have the most influence there. The Wind Watchers of Mindspin Mountain use the winds of the area to predict the future. In Katapesh, various phenomena, including yearly sandstorms and the painted flutes, give clear dominance to air in the area. Finally, the crown of the world is a place you will commonly find snowstorms, which natives and travelers alike need to be prepared for at any time. And that brings us to the end of today's video. 1 elemental plane down, 3 to go. Well, 5, but not dealing with our new arrivals for a while. Instead, next week, we are going through a slightly more steady foundation. See you then.